You know what's really funny? Vancouver Canucks fortune. Because on day one of the Stanley Cup Playoffs in 2026, not only did we have former Canucks captain Quinn Hughes going out there and scoring himself a point in a dominating Minnesota victory, but we also saw Philadelphia. Rick Tocchet's Philadelphia Flyers take a 1-0 series lead against the Pittsburgh Penguins in a 3-2 regulation victory. And yes, while it's fun for us to go out there and talk about Rick Tocchet, I wanted to talk about a guy who is a lot younger than the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers and start getting into the retrospective conversation of why this guy was drafted where he was and whether or not it was a mistake by other GMs to let him go down that far. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Porter Martone, a guy who came onto the scene in Philly as a late season addition after his NCAA year ended up and totally started taking control. Porter Martone is 19 years old, 6'3", 209, a right-handed right-wing player, a power forward, a puck handler, and a sniper. A guy who back in his OHL draft-eligible season was the captain of the Brampton Steelheads, with 98 points in 57 games played. That's absolutely ridiculous. He ended up making Team Canada at the World Juniors as an underage player. He had a goal in 3 games played. Nice. He also made Team Canada at the regular World Championships, which is even more nice for a guy who, back then, was 18 years old. But via the new rules that allow CHL athletes to head over into the NCAA, we saw Martone take his talent from the Brampton Steelheads all the way to the Michigan State University NCAA program, where in 35 games as an 18/19-year-old freshman, Porter Martone scored 50 points, 25 goals, 25 assists. You take a look at the overall point production metric in the NCAA, Martone was a top 6 guy in the league. And if you sort by just points per game, he was also near the top over there too. He was 4th overall in NCAA point per game scoring. There was nothing this guy couldn't do. Add to the fact that he had 9 points in 7 games at the World Juniors as the captain for Team Canada. Yes, a controversial Canadian team in general, but still, Porter Martone was very productive and he was a good player. It's why, after he finished up his NCAA campaign, his one and only year with Michigan State University, he ended up signing early and coming over to the Philadelphia Flyers, where in 9 games, he scored 4 goals and 6 assists for 10 points. And now, in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, we have Porter Martone scoring an absolute beautiful sniper-rooney right there on Stu Skinner, off the bar and in. It is a beautiful goal, but I'm gonna be honest here, this is one of these goals where I look at it and I say, hey, what in the world was the defense doing? Like, why did you give Porter Martone so much time and space to circle back and get the shot off? You got Erik Karlsson, number 65, and you also have number 55 for Pittsburgh over here. But Martone ends up circling around that face-off circle, and he notices that he has all the space in the world to walk in and just rip a shot. Like, here's that little curl with the puck. He has so much space, so he just shoots, and he buries it right by Stu Skinner. Admittedly, Skinner was not the worst with an .850 save percentage in this game, but hey, it's Noel Ashari who is back-checking and making up for the defense. No wonder he didn't play the angle properly and gave Martone all of that space to just wind up and fire it. Oh, what a nasty goal. Scott Wheeler on Twitter said that Porter Martone might just be that dude. This is, of course, with the fact that he ended up scoring the game winner in his playoff debut. I think they said he's like either the only teenager to have a game-winning goal in his playoff debut, or he's one of the only guys to ever do that? I don't know. The fact is, ever since Martone has been playing in a Philadelphia Flyers sweater, I mean, the guy has been productive as all hell. I mean, look at the points. Philadelphia's winning a ton of games. Rick Tocchet and his team have really started to get things together in the neutral zone. It's bled into positive results on the ice. And now, Martone's going out there in a series where maybe the Philadelphia Flyers have themselves a shot to win. I say that because Sidney Crosby, he actually didn't really look all too good in this opening game versus Philadelphia. And obviously, this is not Game 1 that we ended up seeing. This is just some extra B-roll here. But Sidney Crosby and Travis Konecny, yeah, it doesn't look like these guys like each other too much, so we'll be paying attention to that as the games continue into Game 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. But right now, I say Porter Martone is the guy to keep an eye out for, and it's not even just Flyers fans that are paying attention to this story. You also have fans of the Chicago Blackhawks, for example, going out there and saying this: Porter Martone is a perfect playoff player, but the Blackhawks were right to not pick him, because they're not making the playoffs anytime soon. Haha, big brain thinking, eh? If we're being real, the reason Porter Martone slipped all the way to 6th overall in the 2025 NHL Draft is straight up because he's a winger. You look at the guys that went above him: Matthew Schaefer, defenseman, and quite frankly, a generational one at this stage. Michael Misa? Yeah, he plays the wing, but he was primarily a center, and that's what he was advertised as. Same could be said about Anton Frondell, who, to his credit, made his debut with Chicago and scored 9 points in 12 games. He's looking pretty good too. And then you have Caleb Desnoyers out of the QMJHL, another one of these guys right down the middle at C. Brady Martin. Add this guy to the list of centers that were available in the draft, and Martin actually decided to stick around in the OHL. He didn't go to the NCAA like a lot of these other CHL products ended up doing. Desnoyers also one of these examples of guys that stuck around in the CHL without going to college. Porter Martone is a right-wing player. He's not a center, which is why he slipped all the way down to number 6, which I guess doesn't seem that bad when it's like, oh, well, you're 6th overall. Like, you're still a top player, man. Yes, absolutely. But early returns, when you look at the draft and the point numbers, Porter Martone is over a point per game. Nobody else out of this draft class is over a point per game. And amongst all the wingers, it's obvious that he is the best one here so far. I mean, Ben Kindel, say what you want about him. He had a pretty good season. He's also a young dude. He's also a right wing, and he's also participating in this series as well. But he doesn't have the point production that Martone has, and Ben Kindel also didn't score a really, really nice game-winning goal in the last few minutes of regulation to send his team off to a 1-0 lead like Martone did. But that said, this is a guy that early returns are really looking special for when it comes to Philadelphia and their long-term picture. I mean, the guy hasn't seemed to struggle anywhere over the past few years. I would not be surprised if Martone is a pretty big frontrunner for the Calder Trophy next season. I could see him having some sort of an Ivan Demidov, Matvei Mishkov, maybe even more in terms of his overall rookie production and the type of season he could have. Porter Martone, if you give him power play time, Rick Tocchet allows this guy to exercise his offensive skill. Also, he plays the way that Rick Tocchet likes too. Power forward, just a really strong guy on his feet who's not afraid to carry the puck and make plays with it, snipe it himself if he needs to, dangle around a guy or two. This is a guy that could be a bomb waiting to explode next season on the NHL point production list. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Porter Martone and the way he has come onto the scene so far for Philadelphia? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.